Good morning, everybody. It's the Rob from 106.1 Kiss FM here with my tag team partner in podcasting, the Juice Man, Jerry Valeri. Good morning, Jer.
Making my own juice today.
I would drink your Valeri juice.
Boy, you'd be the only one in line, I can tell you.
Oh, I don't know about that, Juice Man. How you doing today, bud?
I'm all right. I'm ready to talk about SmackDown. If you'd like, I can start by saying that if you were going to come downstairs and ruin wrestling for a second night in a row, why wouldn't you wait until you hear my favorite wrestler's theme song hit?
I imagine your favorite wrestler's theme song is Kevin Owens.
Yep. And then she walks down the stairs, and I was like, oh, son of a gun.
That might as well be her theme music.
She was like, really? Do you think his arms really hurt? Is that a fake bandage? And like, that's like the stretcher from the other night. That was funny. Was he in a stretcher? I was like, he wasn't even the one on the stretcher.
Look, I mean, does she watch, like, if you watch the Pirates of the Caribbean movie, does she say, oh my, that's not a real skeleton walking around? Like,
no.
Or every time you watch some sort of Hollywood show, is it, oh, they're not, you're watching This Is Us, they're not really triplets.
Yeah, no, we watched This Is Us last night after wrestling, and she cried the whole time. And
no spoilers, I didn't see it yet.
No, it doesn't spoil anything to say I watched This Is Us and we cried. That's every episode. So.
Dude, the first two episodes, check, double check. I've cried both times.
Brutal. This one will be no different.
Okay.
So the whole time that Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens are in the ring, and Sami's cutting what I think was a great promo, really explaining everything going well. She's just laughing hysterically. Like, what's happening? Why are you doing this? And if you go back, I know you save the show because if I point something out you didn't see, you like to go back and you like to see it.
I save it until after post to post.
So go back and watch it. And this time, instead of watching the guys in the ring like you're supposed to do, she was watching the guys in the front row. And she was like, look at that old guy in the denim button-down shirt. He's so cute. And, oh, look at the facial expressions he's making. Oh, he's so funny. Look at him. And I was just like, shut up! Kevin Owens is cutting a promo, and Sami Zayn's helped him. I don't care about the guy in the button-down shirt. It's not funny to me. It's not funny to me. I told her, I said, you're going to be on, I'm going to talk about you on post to post, and I'm going to give you a DDT. And she's like, what's a DDT? I was like, it's a finishing move. She was like, I'm just kidding. I was like, you're ruining my life.
I have definitely seen you the closest you've ever been to DDTing your wife. And the only reason that you didn't, and I mean the only reason you did not DDT that poor woman when I'm talking about was because you were not in the same city.
I was in Doylestown with you, and she was at home.
Yes, and I remember there was one on the way. The only reason was that you guys were not in the same part of Pennsylvania. That was it.
She was going to get a receipt. That's what it was.
And as Michael said in the post show last time, Valeri is now Feud of the Year 2017. It's fantastic, and it was Feud of the Year last year, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, it all started with the time I tried to get on top of a ladder for a podcast, and you accidentally aired the first 2.5 minutes of our post to post with me.
Wasn't accidentally.
Literally fighting. We were literally fighting on the podcast. My wife and I. Yeah,
it was great because I think you had thought it was disconnected, and I'm over here being like, Jared, I can't stop the damn thing. As soon as I stop it, it's over. It's only been 45 seconds of you yelling at your wife.
Yeah. So it's a second night in a row. Second night in a row, she came down and made fun of wrestling.
Can I start by giving praise and criticism of the show last night?
Sure. I don't have a lot of thoughts on the show in general.
Agreed. That's one of my problems.
Okay. So I'm really interested. You're going to, I went into this thinking you're going to have to carry this one because I don't have a lot of thoughts on it. I just don't.
So here's what I think about SmackDown last night. Here's the praise. The praise is coming off of Hell in a Cell. I had several questions that I wanted answered last night. For example, I wanted to know what's going on with Owens and Zayn. Where are we going with the tag team division? What's next for Dolph and Bobby Roode? Are they sticking together? Like I had questions that I wanted answered last night. And they answered those questions. So thumbs up for that. I'm happy that you guys did that. The criticism is that none of it was really all that entertaining for me.
They did it in the most underwhelming way possible all around the board.
Yeah, so like the answers include, so we had a fatal four-way match to determine the number one contenders for the tag team titles, and it was such a boring answer, Gable and Shelton Benjamin. So we got the direction for the tag team titles for the next month.
Who else would you have chosen from that group, though, that was in there that would be a viable contender to the Usos after the feud that they just had?
You know what, man? I really want something to happen with Breezango, although I feel like they're probably locked in with the Ascension for a little bit. I wouldn't have gone Ascension. I would have considered the Hype Bros. Maybe it could have led to the official split or something like that. But I don't know. Benjamin and Gable feels like a boring choice. I don't dislike them. It just wasn't excitement. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, they weren't pushing Gable when he was in the tag team everybody wanted to see. Then they split up and they put him with Shelton Benjamin. Like the whole This goes back to the Jason Jordan decision, which I think was bad from the beginning. It just does.
It does seem ill-fitting. You're absolutely right, and like you're right, Jared. Like they split up a team that people were really excited about, and seemed to be paying off. Like it was delivering the goods. Out of nowhere, they just pulled a plug on it, and then they program them both in these confusing angles that aren't making a lot of sense to people.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about Jason Jordan a lot on Raw because that's the show he's on, but the mishandling of him has direct implications on SmackDown with Chad Gable.
Yeah, and Gable and Benjamin, like, don't get me wrong, I like seeing them, but they are not they're not exciting. They're not connecting with the crowd, really. They're just two guys who work really well and teamed up together.
Yeah, and I'm sorry. I know this isn't popular. I know you kind of agree with me to a degree. I think I'm going to go a little too overboard on my statement, and you're going to back off of it. But I officially hate Daniel Bryan when he's on my television.
Hate's a strong word. I understand, though. I understand what you're saying.
I mean, he is the worst. He went from GOAT to a new position that he's not suited for. He's now the worst.
That's the thing, is this is not what he does. You know, it's like, I don't know. There's a difference between what we do and what movie actors do. It's a different form of entertainment. Agreed?
Yeah.
Or
well,
even
I agree. People think that I could be a stand-up comedian.
That's exactly what I was going to say. People always say that to me too. It's such a different.
It's a different skill.
It's a much different skill. It's a different muscle that you use to do stand-up comedy and radio. They're just different. Even though they seem the same, they're not. And that's what Daniel Bryan's going through. So I feel like criticizing Daniel Bryan for being the GM of SmackDown, while is fair criticism, it'd be like taking you to task for not being a good stand-up comedian.
Right.
And I'm sure you're no devil boy on the mic.
But if they put, but then
I threw you off there, didn't I?
You did. I would understand you hating me as a stand-up if I was being shoved down people's throats as a stand-up. Like I'm sick of it. I don't like.
So let's say here's the great example. Like, let's say your station came to you and said, "Hey, Jared, guess what? We've got this client, a local comedy club. They don't want to do just normal commercials, though. They want to do something really interactive. So every Friday night, we're going to send a DJ out there, and it's going to be you. So it's going to be great promotion for the local comedy club, and so you'll get to go out there and expose yourself to people. It's going to be great. It's going to be a perfect fit." And then, so imagine then you go on to like some online thread board and it's like, I can't stand Jerry Valeri. His stand-up comedy sucks. And then you're over here like, I'm not trying to be a stand-up comic. I'm just doing it because I'm being told to.
Right.
So that's kind of the way I feel. You're not wrong. It's just, it's not what he does.
He's not good at it. And it's to the point now where I don't like any of I don't think that a commissioner or a general manager can win in my book. I think that it's just such stale, overdone programming that I just don't like it. My favorite wrestler of all time, Mick Foley, I did not like him as the commissioner on Raw. Kurt Angle, I see holes in that one that irritate me. When Shane McMahon's on my TV screen in that role, I hate it. When Stephanie McMahon comes out, I hate it. When Daniel Bryan comes out, I hate it. I think I just hate the whole shtick at this point.
Yeah, it's a position I've never been fond of. And you know, there's a weird balance because like I feel like you do need some sort of authority figure to make the, I guess you could say, unpopular decisions or to settle the ties or whatever. Because like I don't think anyone was annoyed by Jack Tunney. Is that fair?
I miss President Jack Tunney.
Yeah, but like, you know, it was essentially the same thing. We just didn't see him as much. You know, so I feel like it's the way you handle it that makes that position okay. And I don't mean the actual person in the role. I mean, it's how much we expose them. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's the way I feel about that. If I could go back to the tag team thing for 1 second,
sure.
I wanted to say something that may surprise people. And last night, and I've thought about this before I committed it to my notes and before I'm saying it now, I've been really critical of the Usos. I've never hated them. I've always been pretty honest about them. I never thought they were at the level that they've been positioned at here lately. Last night, I don't know what it was, but I was convinced they're every bit as good as they've been saying last night. So what I'm saying is, over the course of the past 5 days, since the pay-per-view, they got to the level that they have been wanting them to be. In my opinion, they crossed the threshold on Sunday. They had the match of the night, in my opinion, again. And now I believe we're dealing with real tag team champions that I can say I have respect for now.
I agree with you 100%. Although I feel like I was there before you. And I'm less surprised because I've been watching them progress and I've been enjoying the progression the whole time. I think their promos have been good. I like their entrance. I like their mannerisms. I just like the way they act. They've become their character. You can tell that they buy it, that it is a lifestyle for them, that they're living their characters, and it's good. And the match on Sunday really solidified it. And while I don't think last night was the turning point, I thought it was a little earlier. I'm not going to argue semantics with you over that kind of stuff. I'm going to say that we're both on the same page with the Usos.
Well, here's what I'll say about it. Imagine it kind of like a stairway. And I admit they've been taking steps up that stairway. But I guess my line as to when they became legitimate to me was just higher than yours. Because I admit they've been getting better. And I've been admitting that kind of week after week. But it was this weekend when they reached, I don't want to say the top of the stairway because they could still improve, but they got to the point where I buy them as tag team champions. And I think that they went from being, I guess they went from being good to great for me. I was going to say they went from being average to good, but I think they probably went from good to great. I hit the wall this weekend.
Now they get Gable and Benjamin, and we've had this question answered, but the question I had, just as much as who's next for the Usos, is what's next for New Day. And I'm wondering if it's now Authors of Pain.
Why do you think that?
I've been waiting for them to show up. I feel like it's time. I've been watching NXT and the last NXT takeover. It looked like they're positioning them to go away and go up.
I will just say to that, I feel like the debuts seem to happen. Well, you know what? I guess not with Asuka, but I was going to say, but you know what? I guess Asuka's debut kind of counts at SummerSlam because that's when the first tease happened with the Raw after SummerSlam. But I feel like the call-ups happen the day after big shows. So I would think maybe after Survivor Series, if they're coming up, that'd be the next opportunity for them.
Is that when they're having the War Games pay-per-view?
Yeah, I think so.
Kudos to the WWE for giving War Games to NXT. I love bringing War Games back, and I also love the fact that they've decided to let NXT have it.
I kind of wish they would have brought it to the main roster personally, but I'm not positive.
I think NXT needs more pay-per-view themes than just takeovers.
It is. They do have 4 of them a year. or something like that. I see your point there. So that was my thought about the tag division. What else did I want to say? Oh, well, there was the I don't know. Is the oh, you probably didn't see this. There was a WWE.com exclusive about Carmella and Ellsworth.
I did not see it.
So you know how Ellsworth is kind of doing the dog gimmick?
Yeah.
Well, he was kind of like barking at Carmella in the back on WWE.com, implying that he wanted water. And Carmella made him drink water from a dog bowl. And I guess it's kind of working for me. I don't know what to say about it. What do you think?
I didn't see it. I don't know. I love his willingness to just have a job. I call that game everybody has a mortgage, and he loves wrestling, and he's doing his thing, and good for him. I haven't disliked Ellsworth yet.
He does his job. Good for him.
I mean, this is a guy that, really think about it. We were introduced to him as a squash jobber in the Braun Strowman string of squash jobbers. And then the next time we see him, he's in like a top flight feud with AJ Styles, albeit as a pawn for Dean Ambrose, but it worked.
That's the first time I remember him. I know that the Strowman thing happened, and I know I saw it. It just never struck me as something memorable. And then when he had the match with AJ and he won, it was like, don't you remember him from the Strowman match? And I never did.
Right. I mean, and now you have a James Ellsworth shirt.
Yes, I do. And it's a prized possession of mine. Thank you again for that. I tip my hat to you, sir.
It's still in the rotation.
Oh yeah, and I've dropped wrestling, like that Sasha Banks shirt. It's gone.
It's gone. We'll never see that again. It's been retired.
By the way, did you see what the next Slam Crate shirt's going to be?
No, what is it?
I got out at the right time, given I missed a pretty cool Hardy Boys shirt. But the next one's going to be an Alexa Bliss shirt. And while admittedly I like Alexa Bliss, this one's even more dainty than the Boss one.
No way.
So
Bliss.
Yeah, I made the right. Can you imagine me in an Alexa Bliss shirt?
It'd be so good.
So I bailed at the right time, I feel like. And I loved the Slam Crate. I always like getting the toys and stuff, but when they wanted to raise I was already iffy on the price, which is $30 for a box. Given you got cool exclusive stuff in there, but when they said we're raising it even more, I said, sayonara.
Sayonara, you're done. I don't want it.
It's a game called Everybody's Got a Mortgage, WWE.
That's what it is.
I want to talk about this too. Are you content with how we covered Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens?
Yeah, I mean, Kelly made fun of it the whole time. Like it was an okay promo by Sami Zayn. It was good. It told us what we needed to know. I thought it ended weird. I thought it ended in a goofy way.
With them raising each other's hands?
Yeah.
Well, I'll just say that really all I wanted out of the promo was clarity, because there's a lot of speculation. In fact, this one, I remember I talked to Gavin about it here at the station, and you were saying that you weren't sure it was going to be like an actual teaming of the two. But I got the answer that I needed, and I kind of know where we're going with it now. So that's really all I wanted from the segment.
Perfect. Yeah, it gave us what we needed. And then we get into garbage.
Oh, what do you mean? What specifically is the garbage?
Garbage is the next thing.
Well,
garbage was the...
I don't have like a rundown in front of me.
I'm looking at it because I wanted the order, because I wanted to know when they decided to show us this. Rusev and Aiden English versus Shinsuke Nakamura and Randy Orton.
I forgot it even happened. Garbage is the best way to describe it. Please stop with these guys.
And I knew Shinsuke Nakamura and Randy Orton were going to win. Everybody knew they were going to win. I don't know why Rusev is a doormat all of a sudden and being put on the same level as Aiden English. And you're not doing any favors for Shinsuke Nakamura and Randy Orton.
No, you're right. It was a wasted. That was agreed. The garbage is a good. It was so bad I forgot it even happened.
I was waiting for the heel turn that you had mentioned the other day, though. Which
one?
Well, you said Randy Orton wanted to be a heel, and I was waiting for Randy Orton to put Shinsuke Nakamura out.
That could have been the shot in the arm somebody needed, but no, I don't expect it to happen anytime soon.
Where do these two go?
Who? Nakamura and Orton?
Yeah.
I don't know, but I hope it's far, far away from Jinder Mahal.
Well, speaking of him, did you think he was conspicuous by his absence?
You know what? I guess I didn't even notice it, Jer.
Holy smokes. You know a brand is cold. Ice cold. Icebox cold. When
Well,
we don't even notice the champ's gone.
Did we acknowledge the champ on Monday?
No, but I noticed.
What do you think that means?
I don't know. I hope it doesn't mean bad things for Jinder. I don't know. I don't know. SmackDown is a chore. Is becoming a chore for me.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say.
I'm gonna say yes. It was focused, but it wasn't entertaining. I would give the week to Raw this week. We were kind of hypothesizing that maybe the next step for Jinder and AJ would be each other, but I did not get that vibe on the AJ Styles side last night. Doing a clean job to Corbin. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I was surprised by that too.
Yeah, it's just like, was it necessary, and why not have done that at the pay-per-view? You know,
why do we always need a rematch?
Like, this was a match they had booked for the pay-per-view. Why don't you have, if you want to get Corbin over as the U.S. champion, have him beat AJ clean on Sunday, and have him beat Ty along with AJ on Tuesday? That's the way you do it.
That's not the way they do it.
No, it's not.
This is for the first time since the brand split. I'm not wanting to watch SmackDown Live.
Yeah, well, I mean, they had that really messy time after was it April's show, which was the Battleground was the bad one. So it was May or something. It was
Battleground was the worst pay-per-view of the year.
Yes.
But then the shows itself weren't bad leading up to it, and the shows afterwards weren't bad either. It was just a terrible pay-per-view.
That's true. That's correct.
These are bad shows, because I didn't even enjoy the tag stuff in the beginning. And the Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens thing left me wanting, but I think that's because my wife. And
like I said, it was, you can still say it was focused. We didn't even mention Ziggler and Bobby Roode's stuff yet, which it was something. It was focused, it just wasn't entertaining. That's the best way I can describe it. So, I mean, I remember a while ago, SmackDown used to be unfocused and unentertaining. At least this time it was focused and unentertaining.
Clearly, we're both giving Raw the nod this week.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Wanted to mention at least one more thing that I don't think people are talking about, and I thought was worth noting. The Bastion brothers. I'm sorry, the Bludgeon brothers. Or did you catch that?
I didn't.
There was I believe it was coming back from a break. It may have been going to one. There was an ominous promo, a vignette, so to speak, of Luke Harper and Eric Rowan, who have now deemed themselves the Bludgeon brothers.
Well, that good. I've wondered where they've been, and I'm okay to see them back.
Hey, maybe that's what's next for New Day.
The Bludgeon brothers.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's doomed, but I really want. At least it's something, you know. I don't know. But it happened. You missed it?
I missed it. I did miss it. I'll have to go back and check it again. I was tuning in and out a lot on it last night. I just wasn't in. Another thing I wanted to talk to you about, and I found out about it on the Post show this morning.
Yeah, I think you're going to go where Kevin wants us to go. I just got a piece of mail from Kevin. He said, yeah, he wanted to talk about Neville. And
yeah, I know very little about this. Did Neville? This wasn't a work. This is legitimately Neville was going to walk out.
Yeah, but I don't think he did. It's up in the air still. But like I commented on the post show, I feel like if he did leave, the headline would be Neville is gone. But that none of the headlines are saying Neville's gone. The headlines are saying Neville asked for his release. Apparently,
typing it in.
The story goes, going into last night, he was supposed to face Enzo Amore in the main event and lose. The writing staff, now I don't know if his problem was with that premise, but the writing staff changed it. I think that's what bothered him. They changed it to Kalisto because they felt written into a corner, because it wouldn't make sense that Neville would have a title shot because they wrote themselves into a corner over the past 2 weeks.
Right, but they could. I mean, it's wrestling. They could have gotten out of that corner whenever they needed to.
Correct. Yeah. But I think that I don't know if the problem was Neville doing the job to Enzo, or actually, but then again, Neville. Yeah, I don't exactly know what the deal is.
Well, I'm looking. I just looked it up. Do you consider WrestleZone a reputable source?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so 10 minutes ago, update on Neville's rumored departure. They say PWInsider.com is reporting that according to multiple WWE sources they have spoken with, Neville has not departed WWE. He did request release. The request was denied.
Yeah, which was kind of how I interpreted everything. Boy, it's rare that they deny a request. So
they never do that, don't they?
Yeah, usually if someone wants to be gone, they want, maybe
they feel like, hey, we get it, you're hot, cool off a second, we can fix this, because they don't want to lose him, and it's not like he's a malcontent. He's just ticked about this one thing.
If he's upset about Enzo's impact on the cruiserweight division, he needs to loosen up a little bit, because you know what? It's kind of coming back to that radio personality versus stand-up comedian thing, in that what Enzo does is different than what you do. It's both, like in our world, it's both comedy, and in your world, it's both sports entertainment. But he's helping you, whether you realize it or you don't.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, I feel like they didn't paint themselves into a corner with the Neville thing. For me, Kalisto is not the main antagonist with Enzo. It's still Neville. It's a Neville-Enzo feud, and it could go to WrestleMania. They could drag it if they wanted it to.
It's just a plot point in this overarching story, I feel like.
Right, where Neville has to work now to get that title shot, and he has to go through hoops, and Enzo's ducking him and dodging him at every turn. And eventually, when Neville gets his hands on him, have him beat the living piss out of Enzo, and then the game's over.
Does Neville realize that whether he realizes it or he doesn't, he's on his way to like a potential feud of 2017? Like, this stuff with Enzo is great.
Great.
It's great. And not only that, your matches aren't that bad. Like your match at the last pay-per-view, while it ended with a kick to the nuts, the match wasn't bad. Like you're doing good work. This is bringing a whole different side out of you. Like, this is awesome.
This tells me that the discontent with Enzo Amore is much greater than I even thought it was. And it brings me to a question that I asked myself the other day. Listening to different podcasts and always looking online, and wrestlers getting upset and shooting on each other, and well, this guy has heat because he did this, or he said this, so he has heat, and he was offended by this, and he was offended by that. These are big, strong, tough dudes that are raised in a culture of masculinity and brutality. And I've never seen a bigger group of thin-skinned wuss bags in my life. Like, I don't understand how thin-skinned pro wrestlers are. And that's Undertaker and Yokozuna and Andre the Giant. I hear stories about all of these guys that showed examples of how they can't take a joke.
Help me out. Help me out with some of those names you mentioned, or because I don't associate them with being thin-skinned. So I'm not saying you're wrong, but help me here.
Well, I mean, if Shawn Michaels says something in a promo during when he's with the Clique, he cuts a promo about Bret Hart. Bret Hart would get offended backstage. I heard that. I heard that the Undertaker sometimes when Kurt Angle first came in, and Kurt Angle's talking about how he's a real athlete. While that's clearly a character and a work, Undertaker took exception to it. Stone Cold Steve Austin took exception to it. What, you saying we're not real? Like, why can't these people that spend their life on this craft realize what the hell they're doing out there? They're working the crowd. Why do they let it affect them in the back? I just don't get it. Well,
here, I guess the difference this time would be, imagine if Kurt Angle was saying those things to Undertaker in the back. And I think that because it's one thing when it's on screen, and then my understanding is Enzo just never lets up ever. It's just he's the same guy behind the scenes as he is on the camera, and what you see is what you get with him. So I guess the difference is while Kurt Angle was saying those things to build a program on screen, imagine if he was saying that behind the scenes, it probably wouldn't have gone over so well.
Right.
So I guess I wouldn't call these people thin-skinned personally, but you did kind of clarify what you were talking about. So I see your point now. And I guess for the record, I would say that Brett was notorious for taking himself seriously. And if that comes off as thin-skinned, that was a good example.
Okay.
So I don't have much else to talk about from SmackDown, really. I wanted to cover the Neville thing from Raw. But that's about it, I think. There was something I remember I wanted to bring something back from Raw, but I don't remember what it was now. There was a point I wanted to make from Raw that I forgot to make on the show yesterday, and then I was kicking myself because I wanted to talk about it, and now I can't remember what it is.
And you're going to kick yourself all day over it again.
Yeah, it may have been Neville, though, but I don't know.
Now I'm curious if Neville showed up on 205 Live last night.
We can find out, I guess. You're our 205 Live correspondent.
I don't want to give 205 Live any clicks because Enzo's not the champion right now.
But he's there. That shouldn't matter.
It does. I don't like Kalisto.
Yeah, but what if Enzo goes and Enzo could do the same thing he would do if he was champion still?
Maybe. He needs the strap.
You're like Bret Hart. You take the strap really seriously.
Super seriously. I'm not dropping it to Sean. I'm not doing it in Canada.
And on that note, unless you have anything else you want to add, I'm going to wrap it up.
Nope. Jerry screwed Jerry.
That delicious Jerry juice. I was there when Jerry screwed Jerry.
Yes.
By the way, Vince screwed Jerry.